Lhasa, more than half a century ago. Monks, merchants, and travelers filled the streets of the city 12,000 feet high. This was the heyday of the traditional Tibet trade. Caravans from China brought tea and silk. Mule caravans laden with textiles and factory-made products came over the Himalayan passes from Kalimpong. They returned with bales of wool, yak tails, and skins which were sent on to Kolkata. War merchants of Kathmandu were key participants in this flourishing trade. And among them, the Uri were at the very forefront. They owned some of the largest business houses in Tibet. This is the story of a brave band of Uri merchants who, over the centuries, contributed to the prosperity and cultural excellence of Kathmandu with their entrepreneurship and Buddhist devotion. Kathmandu, the traditional home of the Newar people. Beyond the snow peaks of the Himalaya in the north lies Tibet, celebrated as the roof of the world. For centuries, Uri merchants have trekked across the frozen passes to Lhasa to do business with merchants from across Central Asia. They traded goods between Nepal, Tibet, and India out of business houses in Lhasa and other towns in Tibet. Some had shops as far away as Ladakh in Kashmir. They had business offices in Kalimpong and Kolkata to buy merchandise needed for Tibet, and sell goods coming in exchange. Along with trade goods, Buddhist art and teachings also passed over the Himalaya. Newar artisans created paintings, statues, and temples and helped to enrich the cultural heritage of Tibet. In the old days, the merchants trekked over the Karu or Kuti passes in the north of Kathmandu to reach Lhasa. Later, the caravan routes from Gangtok and Kalimpong became more popular. Uri merchants spent many years in Tibet at a time. There were no roads, and travel was on foot or horseback. The sadness of the families back home, and the hardships of the journey to Lhasa by mule caravan over desolate landscapes have inspired sorrowful epics from ancient times. The trade route crossed vast open plains where the caravan could be attacked by bandits. So the merchants had to carry guns to protect themselves.
One of level names is Dr. Nablaga. Dr. Son of Swedish names are Amlayata Yapum of Sweden. I'll tape on the Nimdu, tape on the Binaya, the Nimdu Masupi, maybe famous saint to do, it's been the snake, Chimo, Dable, Chim Pimu group data, and the solar lines on a satisfying Saldula lines, so the Venus names are, and so Amlaya had mold hair, so was Gola, but have been Dr. Gamor, little one. I think that's two party great, Temple and Tanga Lens, Ochi, Tepundesa, challenge Bruges, to be Rouse of Biawaga, like said, the steam Paris in reference in those bar productive on Paddy at that and they will come to do some other thing, Kiki, how and Paran, how, who party how a dad. Well, like a challenge blue ones is on shoe. A little Ireland Zona, Gamol, and so she don't lay up him. Talanum, so the other ones, it was never number. I know that, but just didn't do Tazu, Tadas, or Zargali Ludenzo, Zargal Deus who had Valasa, Taka Kusitania, Kadazundo, Chicavala, she, War do, all its own on war, some sort of piano, at again, Saladuni Bonangi, selling you. I owe you well, but not you can look.
The journey from Kalimpong to Lhasa took almost a month. The final part was crossing the mighty Brahmaputra River. In the summer, the merchants rowed a boat made of skins. In the winter, because of the danger of floating ice, a wooden barge decorated with a statue of a horse's head was used. In Lhasa, the Ori merchants lived in an area known as the Barkhar, the main business district. Karunaratna Tuladhar, who lived in Lhasa from 1935 to 1954, recalls trading silver coins. The Ori merchants divided their time between Lhasa, Kathmandu, and Kolkata, and provided a window on the wider world. They wore the latest international fashion, and introduced modern products to Tibet. They returned from Tibet with tales about an exotic land, and also introduced momos, mahjong, silk brocade and woolen carpets to Kathmandu. Ori merchants had a strong sense of social responsibility, and they used the profits from the Tibet trade to renovate Buddhist places of worship. Dharma Tuladhar was the chief sponsor of the restoration of Swayambhu and Kasti stupas in the 1920s. Ori merchants have held many special Samek festivals. In 1952, a Samek was called in the name of Samek Ratna Tuladhar. Ori merchants also played a leading role in the revival of Theravada Buddhism and Nepal Bhasa in the 1920s. Kulman Singh Tuladhar owned a thriving business in Lhasa. He later became a Buddhist monk and took the name Pragyananda Mahasthavir. In 1930, he returned to Kathmandu wearing the yellow robes of a Buddhist monk, the first such monk in many centuries. Dumalok Mahasthavir, formerly Dusratna Tuladhar, was another Ori merchant who became a monk and led the revival of Buddhism. In 1944, Pragyananda, Dumalok and 6 other monks were banished for spreading Buddhism. Bajaratna Gonzakar was their greatest supporter during their exile, and was himself a leading figure in the restoration of Theravada Buddhism in Nepal. The merchants in Lhasa had no idea that a centuries-old tradition would soon be no more. In 1962, war broke out between India and China, and the trade routes through Kalimpong and Gangtok were closed. The Ori merchants returned home for the last time, and a glorious period of trans-Himalayan trade also came to an end.